Greg and his wife were on their way to lunch when traffic on the Dwight D. Eisenhower Expressway slowed to a crawl. That's when Greg noticed a Tesla Model 3 facing sideways on the highway, blocking traffic. Drivers were maneuvering around the Tesla when Greg noticed the Tesla owner, a shirtless man, waving and gesturing at the passing vehicles. Greg tried to stay out of the way like other drivers were doing, but when the shirtless man saw Greg's Tesla, he ran to block his car. Greg thinks he needed help with something and wanted him to stop. Greg tried to understand what he was asking for to see if he could assist him, but the shirtless man got frustrated and kicked Greg's car. Greg decided to try and get away from this person in any way possible. The shirtless man struck the side of the Tesla, making a loud thump on the glass, but Greg managed to escape. Greg later checked his car for any damage, but carried on with his day when he found none. He enjoyed lunch, excited knowing he'd experienced a wham bam moment that didn't involve his car being damaged. Sadly, the same can't be said for our other submitters. We've lined up 20 crazy Teslacam stories from our submitters in this episode. Roll 'em!
Wham, bam, Teslacam, I hope you're satisfied.
Before we get to the wrecks, we've got one more roid rage video. Road rage. And this one is Tesla on Tesla. Mike was using the full self-driving beta when a Model 3 driver sped around a line of cars in a turn-only lane before trying to cut in front of Mike. When the light turned green, FSD started moving, but the Model 3 cut Mike off before the driver stopped and spit on his Model Y. Mike kept going without making a big deal out of it, especially since it looked like most of the spit ended up inside the other guy's Model 3. Thankfully, it rained soon after, so at least Mike's car was clean, even if the other driver was still out looking for more targets. Raina was driving her Model 3 in North Syracuse, New York, when she merged onto a highway as the on-ramp ended. As she continued, the driver of a semi-truck in the travel lane evidently hadn't noticed Raina's Tesla in the exit lane. The trucker started moving toward the exit lane, and since they were now on a bridge without any shoulders, Raina had no way to avoid being pit maneuvered. The truck hadn't even noticed and was now pushing the Tesla in front of it. And while Raina fought to regain control, she told us she could feel him actually speeding up. We can see the truck moved back into the travel lane, then back to the exit lane. And that's when Raina was finally able to countersteer, nearly escaping, but then the truck pit maneuvered her again. This time she overcorrected and went plowing through the weeds before finally stopping on East Wells Avenue. The police were called and an insurance claim was filed, but the truck driver insisted the whole thing was Raina's fault, even though the video evidence clearly proves otherwise. Raina told us her grandson Oscar told her about our channel. He has a YouTube channel, Oscar Shifts, and he's a frequent submitter to Wham Bam Gamercam. Thanks for spreading the word, Oscar. Ian and his family had just returned to their car from watching Monster Jam and were heading home when someone threw rocks at their Tesla as they drove under an overpass. Thankfully, none of the rocks made it through the glass, although shards of glass were found inside the car. Ian and his family were unhurt, but the car sustained damage in multiple locations. They stopped immediately and called the police, but they headed home to file an insurance claim after waiting for 2 hours for cops who never showed up. When Alex rounded a bend in the road, the driver of another Tesla didn't see him coming and turned in front of his path. Alex quickly reacted, jerking his steering wheel to avoid a collision. When this happened, his rear wheels briefly lost control before his traction control system activated. We haven't adjusted the speed on this video at all, so either Alex was driving a little bit fast, or the video might have gotten corrupted and is playing back at the wrong speed. We're not sure, so we'll just leave it at that and let you decide in the comment section courtroom. Larry was stopping for traffic up ahead, and he always checks his rearview mirror whenever something like this happens. Suddenly, he saw the driver behind him move over for something. A Honda came flying forward, white smoke and parts flying all around it. Larry quickly moved over to avoid being struck. Larry pulled over to see if he'd been struck by debris and if anyone needed his Teslacam video. There was no damage to his vehicle, and thankfully everyone was okay. Larry told us he even installed extra bright LED brake light bulbs that might help alert a distracted driver whenever he's stopping or slowing down. Peter had parked his Model 3 in Oakland, California when a guy in a gray hoodie walked up, broke into his car, and stole a suitcase from his trunk in under 10 seconds. Let's walk through this incident step by step and talk about what you can do to prevent something like this happening to you. The first thing the thief did was smash the quarter glass so he could reach in and pull the release lever to fold down the back seat. Pulling the lever automatically folded down the back seat, giving the thief a clear view into the trunk. He then broke the rear window before reaching in for the suitcase. This actually isn't a Tesla-specific issue. Thieves use this method to break into the trunks of lots of different vehicles. The best policy is to avoid leaving valuables in your car, even in the trunk, no matter what you drive. In the case of Teslas, our friends over at Test Bros sell a product called the Drop Lock that fixes this issue. For only $30 US, it prevents thieves from folding down your back seat using the release lever. We put a link in the description if you want to check it out. Shai was driving his Model Y in Ontario, Canada, when the passenger of an oncoming car threw a full water bottle at him. Shai immediately called the police after the water bottle shattered the windshield. Sadly, they told him there was nothing they could do since Shai wasn't able to decipher the license plate number from the Teslacam video. This goes beyond anything that could be called just a prank. This sort of thing could easily cause a fatal collision. We'd really like to help catch this person, so if you know anything about them or recognize the vehicle, please contact us so we can forward the info to the police. Mary Beth was driving home after attending an event. As she was approaching an intersection, an SUV pulled out right in front of her. The SUV driver said she didn't see the Model 3 coming down the road and claimed the driver who'd stopped to let her through waved her on as if it was clear. The Model 3's airbags deployed and Mary Beth struggled to get out of the car. She was really shaken up and took an ambulance to the emergency room to get checked out. Thankfully, she's now completely recovered. She told us she's glad she was driving a Tesla. The car was towed away and eventually totaled, and Mary Beth replaced it about 4 months later. Sean was driving along with the full self-driving beta enabled and his 3 kids fast asleep in the car when he suddenly saw a double rainbow.
Oh, wow! Woo! Yeah! Double rainbow all the way across the sky!
Anyway, that's not what this video is actually about. When Sean slowed down for an intersection up ahead, the car to his right suddenly started sliding out of control. Sean found this very strange and thinks they must have either had bad tires or maybe the driver caused this intentionally. I'm no carologist, but it does appear that the rear wheels are locked up while the front wheels are still rotating. Roberto was stopped at a red light when a Jeep driver rear-ended him and, you know what, I'm not even gonna make a joke about those eyelashes, just post your best quips in the comments. The Jeep driver didn't provide her insurance information or identification before fleeing the scene while Roberto was waiting for the police. She did give him a phone number, but surprise, surprise, it was fake. Hilariously, after Roberto showed the responding police officer her license plate number, she looked up the driver and discovered it was someone she knew personally. The officer promised Roberto she'd get a hold of the driver and get back to him. John was driving in Queensland, Australia when the P-plater in front of him started signaling to merge right before changing their mind. For our non-Aussie audience, a P-plate indicates someone who is still learning how to drive. It means the driver has a provisional license, meaning he's still a beginner and must obey additional driving rules like having a restricted speed limit. Josh was driving his Model Y down a highway in Baltimore when he saw 2 cars speeding and swerving around traffic up ahead. One of the vehicles lost control and hit the median barrier before flipping onto its roof. Since a lot of other drivers were stopping and Josh was running late, he continued on. Mark was coming back from a trip after visiting some friends near Boston. On his way through Rhode Island, a giraffe in the road almost caused a collision between multiple vehicles. Okay, when we first read the description of this video, we were a little bit confused, but when we watched the video, we realized it was only a toy giraffe. Phew! Phil was driving his Model Y in South Carolina when the driver of a black Kia on his left decided at the last minute she didn't want to get on the highway before swerving into his lane. Phil swerved to avoid the Kia, but the driver still blamed Phil and said he was in the wrong. She said he should have moved over for her, and when he tried to tell her there were 2 lanes merging onto the highway, she wouldn't listen. Phil wants to know what our viewers think. Who was in the wrong, him or the Kia driver? Carrie was commuting home from Palm Springs when she spotted a rocket in the sky. Carrie told us the rocket belonged to Firefly Aerospace, who launched their Alpha rocket from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California as part of the Victus Nox mission. We even get to see it push toward the atmosphere. Joe was driving through an intersection when a truck driver clearly ran a red light. Thankfully, they were able to stop, but that brings us to another edge case that we need your expert opinion on. Klein was on his lunch break when he told us he sped up to beat a light rather than getting a hard braking violation that would increase his insurance premium. The car sounded an alert, and Klein isn't positive, but he thinks it helped him steer and brake in an attempt to avoid a collision. The light was still yellow as Klein was proceeding through. At first he thought he would be found at fault, but after reviewing the footage he no longer thinks so. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Josh was leaving a packed Dodgers game, and you can just imagine the traffic situation with everyone wanting to leave at the exact same time. Police officers were directing traffic to keep everything moving, but that didn't stop this truck driver from plowing straight into traffic. We can even see a cop trying to wave at him right before the impact. Another officer then walked toward the truck driver to have a little chat. Josh didn't stop since many officers had witnessed the incident, and he didn't want to hold up traffic any more than it already was. Brogan was pulling up to a stoplight when he saw a really cool car. Comment below if you know what it is and to claim bragging rights. While Brogan was admiring the car on his left, he suddenly heard a loud metal crunch and saw car parts go flying in the intersection ahead of him. The driver of a white Nissan Sentra ran a red light and collided with a gray Nissan Sentra, whose driver was also running a red light. The responding motor officer recorded a copy of Brogan's Teslacam footage using his helmet cam. Time to announce the winner of the VIOFO Dashcam giveaway. We compared the VIOFO A229 Pro, their top model, to Teslacam in a bonus video, and we gave everyone a chance to win it simply by commenting which car you drive. We got over 1,300 entries, so we used a special tool to select a winner. Ready? Here we go. The winner is Stefan. Actually, the rules stated that entrants had to comment with the kind of car they drive, and Stefan didn't do that. Sorry, Stefan, but we'll have to pick a different winner. And here they are. They drive a Toyota GR Yaris, which is a cool little car. We can't wait to see their dashcam submissions. One VIOFO A229 Pro is heading your way. We still feel bad for Stefan, as it seems like he might have failed to understand the instructions for the giveaway. As a consolation prize, we'll send him another dashcam VIOFO sent us to test, the A119, but only if you promise to read the directions, Stefan. If you didn't win, don't worry. You can still use our exclusive coupon codes down in the description to pick up either one of these dashcams at a discount. Enjoy!
Wham! Bam, we got a Patreon man. Please support the show.